Just a couple of days ago, we talked about the crazy turnaround of Square Enix. It just got even crazier, because on top of that, they just dropped a new trailer for Kingdom Hearts 4 coming out late 2027. We've gone over how they turned the ship around, but now let's talk about how they're steaming forward, because Square Enix's upcoming release lineup is absolutely insane. Hello everybody, it's your boy Jmulls, and we have a lot to talk about. Let's just run through a lineup of a lot of what's coming up. On October 8th, we have the Kingdom Hearts Collection 1-3. October 22nd, we have Final Fantasy Resonance. December 3rd, Dragon Quest Monsters, The Withered World. In January 2027, we have the MMORPG Expansion Final Fantasy XIV Evercold. And then in spring of 2027, we have Final Fantasy VII Revelation, capping off the Final Fantasy VII Remake series. Then later, in late 2027, we have Kingdom Hearts 4, and probably beyond that as well, we have Dragon Quest XII Beyond Dreams. This lineup is insanity. In a lot of ways, this upcoming lineup from Square Enix represents everything they've been doing, from their shift to going multi-platform, to not only focusing on giant AAA successes, but also weaving in those smaller budgeted entries. And on top of that, it goes even deeper, streamlining developmental processes. And now what do I mean by that? Because it sounds kind of wordy, but I do think it's one of the biggest keys to the overall success in recent years. Let's start with the Final Fantasy VII Remake series, because obviously that has been a polarizing series. I am personally a big fan of it, and I think it's really impressive how they've gotten games of that size and scale out the door as quickly as they have. Rebirth was only 2024, and we're getting Revelations early next year. That is an impressive developmental cycle for a modern game, and the way they've managed to do that seemingly is being able to carry over assets, the world of Final Fantasy VII, and a whole bunch of different elements that they can just take from the previous entries and just bring forward into Revelation. Especially when you're making one series like the Final Fantasy VII Remake series, it adds a sense of cohesion and uniformity to all the different games and identity, but it also just basically streamlines development because, yeah, you don't have to go back to the drawing board each and every time. You can take the things, the elements, the mechanics that worked from the first two games that you already spend time on building and just bring them forward. Why needlessly remake everything each and every single time when you don't need to? This also goes to things like their smaller scale entries. The HD 2D division, Team Asuna, when it comes to Square Enix's development team, in my opinion, are one of the most impressive teams out in the entire industry right now. My game of the year most likely for 2026 is going to be The Adventures of Elliot. The only other two games that I could see rivaling that is Trails in the Sky's second chapter, which isn't Square Enix. The other game is Final Fantasy Resonance, which takes the story of the mobile gacha game Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, takes the HD 2D art style, and just makes a full traditional Final Fantasy game from that. How many boxes are we checking just with that one game? People have been begging for a return to form for Final Fantasy for so long. World exploration, party dynamics, turn-based combat. They're able to get all of that out the door with a story that is already made that a lot of people probably haven't experienced because it was a mobile gacha game that told this story, and they can get a full-priced, well, I say full price, it's actually only $50, Final Fantasy game out the door before we get to the onslaught that is going to be 2027. In a year where we already got another HD 2D game that I love so much called The Adventures of Elliot. Square Enix have been doing a lot of smart things lately, and they're breaking away from a lot of the trends and practices that they were engaging with for so long that I think kneecapped them needlessly. Now, they aren't perfect, as we covered when it comes to the Switch 2 editions of like quite a few of their games just requiring a full new purchase. That sucks and is stupid, and is also wildly anti-consumer. But moving towards multi-platform releases, having a variety of budgets and scopes for games, being able to leverage previous work to expedite development of future games. They're getting a lot of the important stuff right, and I think this is also evidently clear when it comes to Final Fantasy XIV Evercold. I've talked about this a lot, how Dawntrail is a very polarizing expansion, so what do? When it comes to Evercold, they seemingly just listen to all the community feedback they have been pummeled with and just say, okay, cool, we'll make a game based on that. We'll have an entire segmented fan fest where where we're basically saying, yeah, we're going to double down on investing into Final Fantasy XIV and not just treating it like a cash cow. Here's an awesome trailer that is far more in line with the vibe and aesthetic people want out of Final Fantasy XIV, with a far better and cooler tone than what Dawntrail brought to the table. And when it comes to Final Fantasy VII Revelation, I am really looking forward to that game. I have loved the Remake series up to this point. I loved Remake and I loved Rebirth, though I will say I never want to do the open world or Rebirth ever again. But the things they've shown and talked about for Revelation look really cool to me. I love the idea of being able to fly around the world, like back in the day with Final Fantasy VII, on the Highwind and just be able to drop anywhere. The weapons look insanely cool. I want to fight those guys, and if those fights are anything like the giant icon fights of Final Fantasy 16, I'm gonna be so on board with that, even if the combat system is very different as 16. Still, I am so fascinated by how they're gonna handle that. That game has a lot to live up to, do not get me wrong. However, for something far more in the near future, Final Fantasy Resonance, man, that game looks awesome, and it's coming out this year. I've made multiple videos on why I'm looking forward to Resonance, and each new trailer they put out for that game just makes me more excited. The gameplay looks really fun, the world looks absolutely gorgeous, it looks fun to explore. It's a traditional style Final Fantasy game. I'm all for that. I love HD 2D. I'm so glad they've just made that stick. It's clear that Square Enix as a company have learned a lot of lessons over the last few years. And I think we're starting to see the culmination of those learned lessons come into form right now. And because it's Square Enix, we can never just have anything good wholesale. We always have to have something just stinking up the joint, like the Switch 2 editions of Octopath Traveler being separate purchases, and the whole game key card fiasco. However, I play my games predominantly on PC nowadays, so I'm able to skirt most of that issue. Legitimately, if I wanted to, I could play only Square Enix games for the next year and a half, and I would have plenty of things to just sink my teeth into. I've only ever played Kingdom Hearts 1 and a few minutes of the card game 1. I saw that footage of Kingdom Hearts 4. That looks pretty cool to me. I kind of want to try it out. But because it's me, I'd probably play the entire franchise anyways. And I mean, I enjoyed Kingdom Hearts 1. I never grew up on Disney. The Disney elements of Kingdom Hearts has always been the off-putting element to me. The uniquely Kingdom Hearts stuff, that story, even the Final Fantasy stuff, that stuff appealed to me and has always made me want to try Kingdom Hearts, but it's always the Disney stuff that kept me at bay. But a couple of years ago, I did play Kingdom Hearts 1 for the first time ever, and for some reason I decided to play on Proud Mode. Yeah, I got humbled quickly, but I did beat the game, and I didn't even mind the Disney stuff that much. It's within 5 minutes I was kind of over it. But even though Square Enix falls into these pitfalls other AAA studios fall into as well, and while you can argue should they have devoted so much time and so many resources to the remake series of Final Fantasy VII, they still do a lot right, and they still do a lot of exciting things for me. There's a reason they're still one of my favorite studios. And I think this next year and a few months, or just 2026 and 2027 taken in totality, really represents why I like Square Enix so much. I love their smaller projects like Bravely Default and The Adventures of Elliot, and what is about to be Final Fantasy Resonance. I either like or I love their bigger projects like Final Fantasy XIV. I liked Final Fantasy XVI. I love the remake series. I love Dragon Quest XI. Kingdom Hearts 4 looks pretty interesting. Looks absolutely gorgeous, though, I will say that. Yeah, man, I'm just excited for the future. So here's where you come in. Leave a comment down below with which of these games are you looking forward to the most. I mean, for me, it's obviously Final Fantasy XIV Evercold, though Resonance is right up there for me. I need that Tokyo Fan Fest badly, people. I need more information. Berlin was nice, don't get me wrong, it's just I need more. And while you're down there, please leave a like and subscribe. It'd really help the channel out and help support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. And this kind of became a two-part series, so if you want to go watch part 1 where we went over the financial report of Square Enix itself and the decisions that Square Enix have been making that got to these results, you should go check out this video right here for more. Thank you all for tuning in. Stay safe, have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Until we meet again!